Oh my god, guys, I love premium. I love the fact that I can mill my opponent's deck without doing anything. V doesn't get any new cards anyway. Let's just kill the format. What the fuck? Hey, what's going on, guys? Ahmes here. Today I am back to cover V Granblue Nightrose because I take any chance I can on this planet to talk about this deck. Today we are talking about Nightrose much later into V, because the last time I covered her on the channel, I think it was when V was just about going to end, and then they gave us a banger of a V call, and then V has been alive and relatively well for a long period of time. Today we are going to be talking about Nightrose in context with the new promo that recently came out in Japan. So if you haven't been playing a tournament, go and do that, please. The card's pretty good. So that's basically about it. The deck has not changed much, but the utility that the deck has gone up. And I'm not going to put a paywall behind teaching you how to play V Granblue. I think that's freaking ridiculous. I'm going to give it to you raw, just like how I want Nightrose to do me. So now we are going to talk about the deck. It's very simple. Nothing has changed really, but it's more of the interactions. So this is our grade 3s. Our grade 3s are exactly the same. Nothing has changed. It's 4 Nightrose, 2 copies of Skull Dragon, and then 2 copies of Beatrice. We don't play 3 copies of Skull Dragon anymore because in the current V format, it's very diverse and you don't really need to worry about your one fringe Luat matchup. Most of the Luat players, the Shiranui matchup, my apologies. You don't have to worry about the Shiranui matchup because most of them are now in D or in Premium. So they're either playing D with the new $60 strike deck set, or they're in P playing their freaking Zanki and Renee and then clapping and telling themselves, I'm so smart, my mother loves me. They're not. So because of that, we only need to play 2 Skull Dragons now. We don't actually have to play a 3rd brick, which is very helpful for the consistency of the deck. As you notice, we play a lot more wider spaces in the deck. So having as little copies of Skull Dragon as possible is good. So I would say 2 is still a good number, but if you live in a Shiranui dominated housing environment, I recommend you play 3. Beatrice, there's really nothing to say. I hate this bitch. I think she's horrible. I don't like the idea that people find Beatrice more attractive than Nightrose, but you know what? She is a Soul +1 to call a unit. It's a very good card. I cannot deny that. Beatrice has been reprinted in the P and V collection, so if you're one of the few 5 people who actually opened Beatrice, congratulations. If not, welcome. So basically you just use her to extend your Nightrose attacks, build your boards. She's your primary board builder besides Mr. Colombard. But you already knew that, right? You've been playing this format for how many years, right? You said this was boring, right? So yeah, it's about the same. Nightrose is of course about the same as well. Nothing has changed for her text. You can just Google it, but if you want to know, it's basically when a unit attacks a boost, she gives them 5. At the end of the battle, they kill themselves. So suicidal. And then when she attacks, column +1, choose 2 cards from your drop zone, call it to the same column. If your opponent's grade 2 or greater, she gains 10k. Nothing has changed really. It's still my beautiful Nightrose. Moving on to our grade 2s. Our grade 2s is 4 copies of Colombard, 4 copies of the new Riveting Francine, 3 copies of Greed Shade, and then 2 copies of Stormride Ghost Ship. This is a very interesting Nightrose list in the sense that this is the most number of grade 2s you'll ever see in a Nightrose list in your life, regardless of format, besides Vanguard 0 of course. It's very interesting because this card is not exactly a grade 2 in the sense that, as you will see, her utility is really wide. It's really insane. And I'm really glad that they made these right fixes grade 2, because for the longest time in the Nightrose, I have a problem with actually finding my grade 2s. So I will get into her in a bit, but let's talk about the rest of the deck, which you already know. Mr. Colombard is still his good old hard ones per turn. When placed on the Vanguard circle, count +1, remove 1 card from your deck, put it into the drop zone, choose 1 card from the drop zone, and then just call it. Exactly the same brain dead plays that you love from your good old, oh my goodness, right Colombard, and then skill I call Ghost Ship. Ghost Ship is still the exact same card as before, so no difference here. You cannot call this card normally, even to a Guardian Circle. So yeah, just know that. I know some people try to cheat. Don't cheat, guys, be honest. And then of course the second skill is when he attacks, he gains 15,000 power. At the end of the battle, that is attack, retire this and draw. Pretty nice. It's still the same card since 2019. Nothing has changed. Still a good card though. I know people play Stormride Ghost at 1. I just don't feel it's a good idea because of how important you want to see this as soon as possible. So I'm willing to play two, even though one would be considered a garnet, but it's just for safety's sake. Speaking of safety's sake, we play 3 copies of Greed. If you manage to pull a reprint, congratulations. If not, welcome. Greedshade's skill is that if you have 10 or more cards in the drop zone, he gains 5,000 power during your turn while on V or rearguard circle. You don't really achieve this V skill. The rearguard skill, yeah, you can. When placed from anywhere, just discard 1 card from your hand, remove the top 2 cards to your deck, choose a card from the drop zone, and add it back to the hand. It's just the same old Greedshade toolboxing. Just take any card you want from the drop zone and a net 0. It's really nice. It's really nice. And of course, I need to spend more time to talk about her and her applications to this deck. Riveting Francine is definitely very interesting in the sense that she is now our primary way of getting things started. You want to see as many copies of Riveting Francine in your opening hand as much as possible, and not for the reason you think. Her skill on Vanguard Rearguard Circle is once per turn when this unit attacks, you can counterblast 1, and then afterwards you can just call a card from the drop zone with a different name as this. I do want to say though that it needs to be boosted, so it's very similar to your good old Amber clones that you know from G-series. If you know what I'm talking about, welcome, you're pretty old as well. The second skill is the generic right fix skill, which is at the beginning of your turn. If your Vanguard is grade 1 or less, so you can use this on your turn 1 and your turn 2, okay? Discard this card from your hand, open the top 5 cards to your deck, choose a grade 2 or lower card from among them, and add it to your hand. Shuffle the deck. I already explained how right fixes work, I believe, in the Bermuda Triangle video, and I'm planning to cover as many of these right fixes as possible because they're just so good. My one very, very great sadness is that I did Anger Blader this year before its right fix promo came out, so I don't know if I want to do a second Anger Blader video in a year. Let me know in the comment section below because it's really fun. But regardless, the point of this skill now is that you can actually ensure a virtually infinite consistency for your column Bard as well as your Sea Strolling Banshee, both of which are omni-mill targets for any valuable cards in the drop zone. This is why I can play only 2 copies of Skull Dragon, because I know it will end up there no matter what. It's this level of consistency, it's this level of fun. That's why I still love playing V-series and I still love Nightrose, because you get this level of interactivity in the sense that, of course D still has more interactivity, but the fact that you have this now in V is pretty cool. It's not like matters in premium because you just lose to haha Melista, haha no life king, so play V where your only problem is really Luard. But then again, every Luard head player has now migrated to B-series because they have a point to prove with their pathetic lives. Moving on to our grade 1s, and we're finishing this up really quickly. Why am I getting so political in this video? We play 4 copies of Sea Strolling Banshee, 4 copies of our good old Negro Bone, and then 4 copies of Dancing Cutlass. And that's it. Where is my Navigator? Well, I'm very sorry to the people who believe that English players invented Navigator. No, you did not. And it's now cut from the list because we now have Francine who can straight up just mill us a target from the top 5 of a lower grade. This is very important over Navigator for a simple reason. Navigator is a -2 from your hand to call grade 1 or 2s or 0s to your board to rest and then start to mill. While it is very good and effective in milling your deck, it's not as good as Melista. And 2, and more importantly, it's -2 to your hand, which means you're very susceptible to stuff like DOTX. You're susceptible to stuff like Luard, the very thing you're afraid of. You're susceptible to the stupidest things like June Night Rush, Leopold. I don't have to elaborate. It's very clear on my point here. People may say, yeah, but you guys got the Heal Guards. Isn't that why you love V? Heal Guards are only 4 cards in the deck. Grow up. You are not going to be able to get this 100% of the time. Really. Even if you added Tommy the Ghostly Brothers in here, you can't guarantee me that every game on demand you're going to find it. You only mulligan before your opponent flips his starting Vanguard. There is no way in hell you're going to know that your opponent is some random girl walking in with DOTX. You have no idea. So because of this, and because V is so wide now, and for casuals, according to some people, it's best to prepare for the format rather than 2 to 3 decks. I know it sounds very contradicting, but V is in a state where a lot of decks now can win. So you might as well just be as generally prepared as possible. Because I'm talking about being generally prepared, we are playing 4 copies of Dancing Cutlass. Cutlass from the drop zone, you can bind a copy from itself to call this card to the rearguard circle, and then you counter charge 1 and mill the top card of your deck. So Cutlass can give you up to 3 counter charges if you're lucky and blessed by God. Although you may be wondering, why do I choose to play Cutlass as my counter charger rather than something like King Serpent or even Dolph? Is his name Dolph? Jesse the Ghosty, I think. They're the great two, Jesse the Ghosty. It's just because this card's a grade 1, I can throw this on the field very early, I can guard with a 10k shield, and I don't want to bloat my deck with too many grade 2s. King Serpent is also really horrible in the sense that if you just want 1 card counter charger, he's built for you, but realistically, if you know you have a problem with your life if I straight up told you that the G version of King Serpent is better. Like, how do you live with yourself knowing that this card is better than your current version 8 years later? Like, it's a hard pill to swallow, you know. So generally speaking, Cutlass is just better in my opinion because it's a card that's much more flexible, surprisingly, and you can actually get multiple copies of Cutlass in the drop quite early because you guard, you soul blast, you ride up, and it's also very good for ride up because you can counter blast deny with a 6000k base. So that's the main reason why Cutlass is in this deck. Actually, not reason, reasons. Negrobone is still stable in this deck. I feel if I want to explain Negrobone, it's kind of like teaching you what water does. You just discard 1 card from your hand while this card's in the drop zone. You move Negrobone to the bottom of your deck and Superior Call a grade 1 card from your drop zone to a rearguard circle. If you have 10 more cards in the drop zone, you can call regardless of the grade, which means your Skull Dragons, your Ghost Ships, your Column Bards, anything is fair game. So obviously, I feel like an idiot saying this, but just make sure you get a lot of copies of him in the drop zone. It's very similar to Dancing Cutlass. Lastly is Sea Strolling Banshee. I don't know if I've talked about Banshee before on this channel. Maybe I have in my premium video. Yes, I do premium, but it's very surprising that Banshee is still in this deck because of how versatile and fun she is. When placed on a Vanguard Circle, choose a card from your deck and put it in the drop zone instantly. So that's your 1 card fix in order to get your stuff like Greed Shade or to get your stuff like, Ghost Ship straight away into the drop zone to allow for your grade 2 play. It doesn't innately plus you any advantage, but it's just that good. It's just that good. And then of course, when it boosts, at the end of the battle, this unit boosts, you can remove the top 2 cards of your deck. If there's a trigger from among them, you can retire this unit and then you can draw 1. This was because this card was released alongside Pignon Noir and Pignon Blanc, which were trying a new V-Call style of milling triggers. While they are very fun as a deck, I decided to steal their support because, Nightrose turns everyone around her suicidal, just like me. So because of that, if everyone's going to pass away, I might as well try to draw 1 from that, right? And of course, the on-right skill is just way too beneficial to turn off and say you don't want that. You do want that, and she's cute. Our triggers are very simple. It's 4 heal guards, as I mentioned just now, 2 perfect guards, 2 crit sentinels, 8 critical triggers, and then of course our good old Undying Departed, Grenache. I mean, the starter, you can play whatever you want. I don't care, but Grenache is just nice to have for flavor's sake. 8 criticals plus 2 crit sentinels means 10 criticals because you want to kill as fast as possible. I don't think this needs an explanation. Plus we're playing Protect, so you can afford to play crit sentinels, but we still do need 2 normal draws because we still want some pieces and we do appreciate normal perfect guards. So I recommend for a 2-2 split. If you want to play 3-1, if you want to play 4 of each, I think it's perfectly fine, but I still recommend 2-2 out of safety's sake and because of the fact that it's more balanced that way. Heal Guardians, we don't play the 20k shield for Granblue, which is the Ghosty, because we don't ride Beatrice. We don't care. Go home. We're here for Nightrose. So because of that, we generally want to actually ensure that we can compete in the early game and stop those rushes like DOTX, as I mentioned earlier, which is through a Heal Guardian. Although it scales pretty badly in the late game because it's only a 15k shield, the amount of leverage it gives you in the early game ensures you can play a Nightrose like no other. You don't need to discard 2 cards for Navigator, and you don't need to tank behind 20k shields. Instead, you can actually take your time to play a slow but yet aggressive Nightrose and that's also because of Francine. So with that being said, that actually brings us to the conclusion of this deck profile. I'm very happy with the current standard of Nightrose, and I know a lot of people are saying, oh, I wish V dies. I'll be honest, if V dies tomorrow, I will be happy with what we have right now. I would say that, you know, we generally benefited, we generally profited from, you know, the whole V as a whole, in terms of V as a format, V for premium, because Nightrose in premium is pretty fun, you know, although it's too expensive to play premium, it's not worth it. Premium's matters never gonna heal at this point, so why bother? But I'm releasing this video because I still just want to tell people who want to play V, who have V communities, to keep trying, because we are still getting cards here and there. There is a possibility for V called at the end of the year. You'll never know. But that being said, it's really about this card, you know, to promote creativity with it, to try with it, because I've seen this card with Cocytus, I've seen this with Pignon Noir, Pignon Blanc. I think it's pretty fun. And it's just for one client. You can try it for others, as I tried it with Lyriquor, I think, last weekend. So, you know, that's really about it. If you want to see that Anger Blader video with the Right Fix promo, let me know in the comment section below. If you want to see any particular deck for Right Fix promo, you can let me know. I'll try to do it if I can. I think the one deck I just won't be doing is Victor, because I think that one's too obvious. Yeah, Victor with the new promo was just insane, bro. So I don't think I'll be doing that one, unless it's very highly demanded. I am looking to do one for Kagero, you know, Link Joker in the future if I can. So yeah, that's really about it. Don't want to hold you back any longer. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Take care.